Appreciate your time. I know you're busy. What is the latest you're hearing?
Well, obviously, we know about the meeting that the players are going to have. This is the second meeting that they're going to have this morning, which will be 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is in about 12 minutes. And so after this meeting, we should have a firm grasp on what the players plan to do moving forward. I think most people believe, I think it's highly likely that the games will be postponed today or boycotted, I should say, today. And I think we'll have a firm grasp on what they're going to do after the conclusion of this meeting this morning.
Chris, do you have just a personal gut feeling after all you heard, all you saw last night, all the great work that you did, and then you slept on it? Do you have a gut feeling on season or no season?
Yeah, I think, obviously I reported last night that the Lakers and Clippers were the two teams that voted to cancel the remainder of the postseason. I will say this, that, emotions were high. There was a lot of frustration during that meeting. That happens when you have a big player base and difference of opinions going on. But I think when it's all said and done, the emotions kind of go away. I would be very surprised, me personally, I'd be very surprised if the season was canceled. I know the majority of players want to finish the season out. And, I was kind of surprised that, hear about LeBron James and Kawhi Leonard, had their stance and saying, hey, think it's best that we go home from here. Because LeBron, that was a stance that he hasn't taken, up until this point. And, I was surprised to find out he had that position. But again, frustration was high last night. Emotions were raw. So I could understand if when guys had the opportunity to sleep on it, that they probably come back with a different position this morning in the meeting.
It's being reported that LeBron wants owners to take more ownership in this, and they want them to use their influence, and they want them to use their connects to get this done. So what assurances can Adam Silver and some of the owners give these players that they're going to work as diligently as the players are to try to bring about change in these communities?
Well, the ownership group, a lot of them, I can't write them off the top of my head, but a lot of them have, donated money into, social justice causes to try to stem the systemic racism that's been going on in this country forever. And so those things have been taking place. And so I'm not exactly sure of what in particular LeBron or any other player is asking for when it comes to ownership. I know that, I know it was brought up about, where is Adam Silver? Why isn't he here, here in the front lines with us? So, those things did come up. And again, there was players were all over the place. It was something that happened, starting with the Milwaukee Bucks, obviously. You guys touched on it. I was listening. They caught everybody off by surprise. The union would have liked to have put out a joint statement saying that all teams were going to, boycott the game. I think Milwaukee Bucks and particularly George Hill kind of led the charge there and spearheaded them into getting that boycott on and kind of just shocking everybody, which led to a ripple effect where, it was impossible for the other two teams to play that day. And so there was a lot talked about that. It was a point that Patrick Beverley, kind of called out leadership, talking about the lack of transparency, and there's guys frustrated that, players not on the same page. So, their emotions were high, and that's why I think it's very productive that they get a second meeting in here, which they're going to do, to kind of clear the air, let guys sleep on it, and hopefully they can come back and make a sound decision.
So, Chris, if the Bucks had opted to go ahead and suck it up and play yesterday against Orlando, what was the grand plan? What was the master plan with CP3 and LeBron at the head of it to have a unified front? Were they planning to boycott the next day's games?
That I don't know, Skip, but that's where the frustration lies. Yeah. That's why Patrick Beverley kind of called out leadership, asking like, what were we going to do? Mm-hmm. What was the plan? If the Bucks didn't do that, what was the message? Because nobody was informed. And leading up to it, and I wrote that morning that there was a meeting the night before, and players had got together, and Chris Paul was there, Andre Iguodala was there, and players were really going over the logistics of what it's going to look like if we boycott. So it got real, and players were kind of using that meeting as a venting session as well. You know, players are traumatized, they're hurt. Depression is real, and a lot of them are not getting help. A lot of them, don't trust the psychologists that are here on campus. They can go onto an app and set up an appointment, but for confidentiality purposes, a lot of them are not doing that. And so there's a lot going on right now. And that I think if the Bucks would have played, I think the rest of the games would have been played yesterday. And I think there's definitely people that were frustrated with the Bucks and how they handled it, but also there's players frustrated with leadership, saying, okay, what was the plan if the Bucks didn't do that? Why weren't we informed?
But let me ask you this, hypothetically, if the Clippers and Lakers walk, what happens?
Shannon, I don't see a scenario of where the Clippers and Lakers will walk. It's still like, it's not like, it doesn't work that way in any voting system where if two teams don't want to do something or two parties don't want to do something, that the whole league shuts down. That's just, the voting is in favor of the players who want to play or the teams who want to play. It's more of them than there is the Lakers and Clippers. So I don't see a scenario where the Clippers and Lakers would just walk. Those just happen to be the two teams that voted no. And then, just let me make this clear. Just because those two teams voted no, not everybody on the Lakers and Clippers want to go home right now. It's just a majority of players of Lakers and Clippers. As of last night, let's keep that in mind. Last night with the emotions raw, everything going on, so it can definitely be a different outcome this morning.
You good?
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay. So, Chris, you made the point last night on TNT. Nobody obviously is being held hostage in the bubble. Is it possible that we would see more players, so to speak, opt out, where we would see, a new wave of players just say, I can't take this. I need to be home. I need to be with my family, or I need to be in the streets leading the protests. And yet they would all leave different teams, but again, the teams would all be left mostly intact. Maybe they'd have to use backup players. Could you see that, where the season would go on with a loss of a number of players?
That's definitely a possibility, Skip. But I think what the players are trying to establish a united front, and they want everybody to be on the same page. And that's difficult to do when you have so many to work with. But, you look at what Paul George, after command Paul George, would come out and talking about what he was dealing with. And, saying that attribute to his struggles. Like he wasn't there in the right frame of mind. And I don't think that was social justice issue concerns, but that's just the depression, anxiety of not being around your family. And then also, with everything that's going on in the world, players are used to, after games, going home to their families, going into people that they care about, confide in, and support. That is absent right now. And although there are family members here right now quarantined, they will be free in a few days. That hasn't been the case leading up to this point. And so, Skip, to answer your question, I think you could see that, but a lot of players also have stressed, like, look, guys, we're here. Like, we made the sacrifices to get to this point, and it's working. Let's finish this out. Let's continue to use this platform to spread awareness and to kind of put pressure on the local office, government officials, and everything else above that. So we can see some, but the players want to make sure, or they want to make it clear that it is better if they stay in united front more so than guys just leaving independently.
So, Chris, personalize this a little bit for us. How long have you been in the bubble now? What's it been? We going on how many weeks?
Weeks. I lost track. I'll say I've been here since June 29th.
Okay.
So that's going on 2 months already.
2 months.
Yeah.
So give us your personal view of that sort of cabin fever that you get stuck in the bubble, where you can't see your friends, your relatives, your lady. you can't see anybody except you just keep working nose to the grindstone, and then you go back to your hotel room every night. What has it been like? How does it play on your emotions and your psyche?
Man, it's not ideal. It's not ideal at all. You know, I've been in this business for 10 years now, and you know, there's been stretches where I've had to leave, be gone for 2 weeks for a road trip, but you know, 2 weeks is nothing compared to 2 months. And you know, I'm used to having my family. You know, I'm used to having them around and being able to go to them. And you know, I had my oldest daughter, Justice. She was going to college, just graduated from high school, was going to college, Clark, Atlanta. And I was really going through something. I don't know what it was, but I was going through something because I wasn't going to be able to see her off. She was going to leave in August, and I can't see my baby girl off to college. And luckily, she won't say luckily, but classes in-person classes were canceled. And so she will still be home when I get there, and I get to see her off, hopefully when she goes back in January. So that's just little things that I'm dealing with. And, you know, media, we don't have, you know, we're not allowed to have any family members come visit us, you know. So that's going to be the case for media members all throughout this duration.
Do you think, Chris, is that when they went down to the bubble, and a lot of guys, you know, you see the Black Lives Matters and how many more, you see all the hashtags and the phrases on the back of their jerseys, but they said the progress seems to have slowed and the killings in the streets seem to have ratcheted up. And it's like, okay, yes, we came down here to play and we have a platform that we can elevate these issues, but it seems like nothing is changing. Like nothing, we're playing a game, and what we were fighting